Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this Wednesday morning. Governor Greg Abbott has done it. He has officially declared the uncontrolled mass illegal immigration into Texas and invasion. Yesterday, Governor Abbott took to Twitter and made the following announcement, quote, I invoked the invasion clauses of the U.S. and Texas constitutions to fully authorize Texas to take unprecedented measures to defend our state against an invasion. I'm using that constitutional authority and other authorization and executive orders to keep our state and country safe. And then he listed on a number of measures that Texas is now taking to stop the massive flow of illegal migrants into their state. So Abbott will be deploying the Texas National Guard to safeguard the border, and to repel and turn back immigrants trying to cross the border illegally. He'll be deploying the Texas Department of Public Safety to arrest and return immigrants to the border who crossed illegally and to arrest illegal immigrants for criminal activity. They're going to be resuming building the wall in multiple counties on the border. We'll be talking about that in a minute. He'll be deploying gunboats. He'll be designating Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations or entering into a compact with other states to secure the border, entering into agreements with foreign powers to enhance border security, namely, of course, Mexico, and providing resources for border counties to increase their efforts to respond to the border invasion. Impressive stuff. So Governor Abbott is going full steam ahead with this invoking of the invasion clause. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Article 1 Section 10. Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution gives the right to every state to declare war if they're actually invaded or in imminent danger. It's an inherent part of the separation of powers structures. States do not need Congress's approval. It doesn't even have to be an army that's invading them. Some of the founding fathers like James Madison explicitly stated that Article 1 Section 10 can be invoked against smugglers. Madison specifically cited Virginia using its militia to stop smugglers as an example of a valid exercise of the invasion powers. Again, the principle is simply one of state sovereignty. If the sovereignty of state is violated, that state has the right to declare war on an individual basis without congressional approval. So this is what Governor Abbott is doing here. Now, of course, he's going to get pushback from the whole powerful, all-wise federal government that hasn't read the Constitution in decades, and they threw their mouthpieces in the legacy media. They'll be pushing the whole question as to whether Abbott can capture, detain and send people back to Mexico. As a state governor, can a state governor treat people basic like lib-pows and all that, when for decades, this has been the sole prerogative of the federal government? That's what they're gonna push. We're gonna see how this all plays out. But Governor Abbott is doing precisely the kind of governance that we predicted would happen last week. One of the things we talked about after the midterms was the powerful impact of various new Republican supermajorities would have on what's called sanctuary states. Now, again, well, sanctuary states are generally associated with left-wing causes like embracing illegal immigration, right? They also have significant relevance for the patriot right. Sanctuary states in this sense, and the nationalist populist patriot sons are deep red states that are committed to protecting their citizens from any and all Democrat programs and persecutions coming down the pike from Washington, D.C. So what we've been seeing over the last, particularly 2 years, is more and more red states joining together and in effect, forming an administrative and legal wall against the assault on our civil liberties by the blundering Biden administration. And one of the arguments that I made last week in the aftermath of the midterms is that the Republican supermajorities that were formed from red states going even deeper red like Texas, red states can now increasingly set their own political agendas regardless of what D.C. wants or says. Any attempt by D.C. to obstruct state efforts is immediately thwarted with those massive state majorities. So this is why Texas is going forward with building the wall. If you're not familiar, what Texas has been doing is they're installing makeshift border walls created from repurposed shipping containers in strategic locations where migrants are likely to illegally cross, and at least part of this wall, as I understand at least part of this wall, it is significantly under budget. In terms of the monies that Abbott and the Texas legislature have already allocated to finishing Trump's wall. Governor Abbott has awarded a multi-million-dollar contract to a private building company to begin construction of the border wall that Abbott mandated in a recent executive order. And as part of those building efforts, Texas has actually been put in good use to shipping containers and repurposing them for a very effective and very fast wall build. Reports are that the wall is going up in record time. And that very little expense the Texas taxpayer, at least when it comes to these makeshift walls, and now with this invasion declaration, the Texas National Guard and the DPS Department of Public Safety, now they can begin arresting perpetrators and sending them back over the border. So we'll certainly be keeping our eyes on how things develop here in Texas, but I do believe we are seeing the first of what promises to be many more examples of deep red Republican states beginning to take matters into their own hands in the face of the bumbling incompetence of the adults of D.C. Well, here we go again. It's been a week since the midterm elections and we still have absolutely no idea what's really going on. The results still aren't in, at least the full results. You know, there used to be unanimous consensus that this wasn't a good thing. No one expected in a presidential campaign that you wouldn't have the results tonight of that was the standard. It was unacceptable to not know who was president or to not know which party won on the night of the general election. Well, over the last little while, it seems as though they've conditioned you into accepting the fact that elections take weeks to finalize because the whole system was changed thanks to new Democrat laws. And now this is just the way it is. Florida had 7.7 million votes to count. The votes were in and counted, tabulated, released, reported in less than 24 hours. It's been a week. We still don't know who's going to be the next governor of Arizona, and just the roller coaster, the ups and downs and the last-minute upset victories as the votes trickle in, make this whole process an absolute nightmare. And here we go again. Well, would you look at that, we were reporting on Lauren Gilbert supposedly losing her race. And then of course, she took the lead, and with the 99% reporting, she supposedly won her district, although there's very likely to be a recount in the race. But supposedly Lauren Bavard has won her race until all of a sudden left-wing outlets are now reporting that there may be 1,000s of Democrat ballots about to be fixed or cured. That's going to flip the race back to Democrats. This stuff is just crazy. It's so frustrating. Alright, folks, that we go to left-wing Newsmax. Lauren Boebern in danger as rejected mail-in ballot checks could help rival the race for Colorado's 3rd congressional district remains too close to be cold as Trump-endorsed Representative Lauren Bavard is currently only slightly ahead of a rival Democrat Adam Fresh, but the incumbent congresswoman's narrow lead could once again be overturned if 1,000s of likely rejected votes in favor of a challenger were to be, quote, cured. As a recount looms over the Colorado race every year in Colorado, 1,000s of ballots are reportedly rejected for issues related to signature verification, such as a missing signature or a discrepancy in the signature. Local officials then alert voters of the issue, giving them a week to fix the problem and make their vote count. The process, which is done in 23 other states besides Colorado, is called ballot curing. Colorado voters can check the status of their ballot here. State of Colorado ballot tracks. Albert was widely projected to be the winner in the midterms, with the polling website 538, giving her 897 and 100 chance of victory in days ahead of the vote as of November 14, with nearly all of the ballots being counted. Bavard is leading with 50.1% of the vote, 162,000 votes, against Fish's 49.8%, 160.91 votes. Adam Fish, her opponent, tweeted, ballots are still being cured in Colorado's 3rd district. And our campaign wants to make sure every vote is counted. So we can retake the lead. Check the status of your ballot, or to direct a friend to do so, click here. And really, my reaction here, only one thing comes to mind. This whole system is an absolute mess. What I'm always saying, or what I'm always thinking, is how is this sustainable? Is this how elections are expected to move forward, to be highly divisive, to take weeks to find the final results for races to be called and flipped back? Are we just supposed to continue and pretend as if this is normal? I mean, is this happening in other developed nations? No, it's not. Pretty much everywhere, you have to do a couple things. To participate in democracy, you have to show up on an early voting day, or you have to show up on election day with photo ID identifying yourself, and then you cast a physical ballot, which is then counted and tabulated after you put it in the box. That is literally the only thing that makes sense. And when it comes to absentee ballots, of course, they make sense within the proper context, within a very limited scope. If you're serving in the military, and you've been deployed to another nation, you deserve the right to vote, and you can mail your ballot in. If you work in a foreign country, or if there's another extreme circumstance that makes it so that you can't show up on election day and vote, then sure, I get it. You can apply in advance with the proper reasoning, your reasoning fitting within the confines of the law or the description of the law surrounding absentee ballots. That makes sense, but what's going on right now doesn't make sense. What do you have some of these districts where more than half of the votes are coming from the mail system when it's a slow and grueling process? Seems to have to go through all of these different kinds of ballots. And when there's clearly not enough technology and people working, there's enough infrastructure in place to actually connect each ballot to a real individual who can identify themselves and confirm that they're the ones who cast the vote and are participating in democracy, well, then you get this system that just doesn't make sense at all. This doesn't make sense. In my opinion, there is only one proper way people show up. They show their face, they have the ID, election workers see the face, see the ID, same person to address checks out, they're registered to vote, go right ahead, cast your ballot, and then it's counted. Instead, what you have is this. And now, weeks out of the election, we still don't even know if Lauren Boebern is going to win. It's possible that there's 1,000s of ballots that are gonna get cured in the final hour and that it's going to flip, or maybe they're not going to get cured, and the result is going to stay the same. Or maybe Lauren Boebern is going to gain an even bigger lead. Whatever the result, I don't care, even if this benefited the candidate that I agree with. The whole system just doesn't make sense. It's so disorganized and it's clearly causing problems. It's making people angry. It's also unfair in terms of political momentum. We still don't know if Kari Lake won. And let's say Kari Lake wins. I mean, it's looking hard to predict. A lot of the ballots now were breaking in our favor, but it's razor thin. I mean, it's extremely close. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to say. But let's say Kari Lake in the end wins here. They've robbed her of her election night celebration. They've robbed her of momentum and enthusiasm. They've turned it in this process where people are already tuned out and they're not even paying attention. Oh, and funnily enough, this whole ballot curing thing is now becoming a big thing in Arizona as well. We have this video right here in Maricopa County, which shows you that the ballot counting is basically done. Based on the reporting from Nicole Grigg, Maricopa County confirms to me that all early ballots dropped off on Election Day have been counted. The only outstanding ballots that would be left are those requiring manual attention, adjudication, and provisionals. So we're gonna get the final drop today, which is I think around 90,000, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's a little less than that. And then even then, tomorrow, as you're watching this video, after we've supposedly received everything, we still don't know who's going to be the next governor, because there's still ballots remaining requiring adjudication, provisional ballots, and now even ballot curing, as both campaigns and even Kari Lake is promoting a ballot carrying operation, making sure that your ballot got counted. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, or I feel like I'm a little bit of a broken record. I mean, this whole system is scuffed, it's unsustainable. Democrats want to talk about the end of democracy, threats to democracy. This is it. You can't just keep moving forward and pretending as if what's going on is normal. It is not normal. Even CNN admitted that in 2016, when looking back at the Bush versus Gore election, it's not normal to not have the results the night of and did not know who's the winner. A recount? Sure. But this craziness of all these different types of ballots, these different categories, splitting in different ways, and the results going back and forth for weeks on end, and then the curing process, because so many of the ballots have issues. It's just not a logical election system. And I fear for the societal issues that it may cause. So we got to keep paying attention. I'll try to keep you guys updated. Apparently, the Lauren Boebert race is still not over. We reported previously that she took the lead. We never actually said that she won 100%, we were hoping that she won. I think the race was called at some point. It's now in the red column, but we'll have to continue following it. Of course, we'll continue following Kari Lake as well. Although by the time you're watching this video, I think we'll have a much better idea as to where that race is headed. Right now, there's still a 25 or 26,000 vote gap. Actually, it might be 24,000. So we'll see if she manages to leapfrog ahead of Katie Hobbs, to be honest, based on what Kari Lake was saying. And these election analysts and election viewers are telling us, I feel like it should have happened already, but it hasn't. So we'll have to see. I mean, the ballots might keep coming in pretty split, but I'll keep you guys updated as we're going into the second week, and we still don't know who the winners are. Thank you for watching the video.